Hello, my name is Chris Allen, and this is the Chris Allen MMA Show. Today we're recapping on last weekend's amazing UFC 249 card. It's finally come back. You know, it seemed a bit strange behind closed doors, but you could probably hear those punches, as I'm sure Tony Ferguson felt after that fight as well. But I'm being joined by three massive MMA enthusiasts as well as fighters. Again, joined by Akonne Wanliss from Bellator, tearing up the lightweight division. Akonne, how you doing, mate?
I'm good, man. Good. You always say my last name a bit weird, man.
Wanliss.
Wanliss, yeah. You must got that force choke. You know, you must feel the force from over there.
Here you are.
You prepared that now, yeah?
The Jedi is his nickname, by the way. So yeah, where's the lightsaber? There it is. Akonne, the Jedi Wanliss, man. And all the way from California, we're joined by absolute top journalist over there, one of the best talk shows out there, apart from mine, of course. He runs the MMA Power Hour. It's done absolutely incredibly well. You know, it's top production, interviewing some of the best fighters, such as Michael Bisping, Dan Henderson. It's Mr. Colin Crandall. How you doing, mate?
Thank you, mate. Doing very well. We had Justin Gaethje also on in the last year. We had him on once on the show, and then once an interview at the Dominance MMA Media Day, his management company. So, yeah, we're happy, man, to be doing what we're doing and talking to great people. And I'm always happy to chat with you. In my opinion, you are the triple C of British MMA fight.
The triple C. Jeez.
That's it, mate. That's what I like to do, man. And Colin, mate, you've always been supportive. You even let me do parts of your show as well, mate. So I really do appreciate it, man. Thank you for joining us. And Steven Cooke from Team Underground, one of the best gyms in the UK. He's probably one of the best submission artists as well, training these young, amazing amateurs coming up as well as the pros. It's Mr. Steven Cooke.
Cheers, mate. Thanks. Really quickly, you got me on quick, didn't you? 5 minutes ago.
Mate. Yeah, I did, mate.
5 minutes ago, you know what I mean? But yeah, thanks very much for having me. Good to be with these guys as well.
He's ready to go any place, anytime.
That's it, mate. Ready.
That's how us Brits
I had
do
to have
it,
a little shape up though quickly. I was like, your beard was everywhere, mate. It was like that up my face.
Don't remind me, man.
I had to get myself all ready. Like now, I'm good to go, man. I'm good to go.
Well, it's nice to have an insight from a coach like yourself as well, you know, watching these sort of fights. We've got a fighter, a top coach, and we've got another top journalist over here as well. So it's going to be very interesting to hear all your opinions. So I'll tell you what, let's just start off with the big one. What I'll do is I'll come to you one by one to start off with. So let's talk about the big one, man. Obviously, Ferguson versus Gaethje, absolute war. You know, I'm not going to talk about it too much myself. I just want to hear what you guys thought about that. So, Colin, I'll come to you first, mate.
Thank you. I appreciate it a lot. Absolutely amazing fight. I feel that going into it, it was already one of the fights that set kind of a record for being a replacement of a huge fight that initially disappointed everybody when it was lost, the fight with Khabib Nurmagomedov. But all of a sudden, Gaethje came in, and I think a majority of people felt equally as excited, if not more excited about it. My co-host and co-producer, Dr. Adam Rorta, and myself called Justin Gaethje to win the fight, and, you know, pretty emphatically on each of our broadcasts prior to it. So we had confidence in him. Tony's an amazing and a great fighter, but it just seemed like the matchup favored Gaethje a bit, and the one with Khabib may also as well. But still, you can never count Tony out. It was an amazing fight. It was on the feet the whole time, as we kind of expected, although had it gone to the ground, would have favored Ferguson. I think he tried. Absolutely amazing. I was yelling. I couldn't believe the punishment that Tony Ferguson was able to take. And your two guests here probably know certainly better than me, being professional fighters, whereas I've just been a martial artist all my life. But I don't think I've ever seen, and I've probably watched more than 1,000 combat sports contests in the last 30 years, and never seen anyone be able to take punches like that so often through a fight, and so many of them so hard. So huge respect to Tony Ferguson. The guy's an absolute beast, just mentally strong, like possibly no one else out there. And just, you know, hopefully he'll be back. Amazingly enough, he was coherent and spoke clearly and in good humor right after the fight.
Was dancing around his hospital room. I think I saw him.
Yeah. So absolute warrior. I think he'll be back. And I think maybe he'll realize he's got to throw in some wrestling when he fights guys like Gaethje. But Gaethje is kind of an unusual guy, being that he's a really good striker, but a really good wrestler, especially defensively. So he's a problem. I think right now he may even be put in as the favorite against Khabib. I'd be curious to see what your other guests here think, but super exciting in that fight. That was the only one you wanted to touch on at the moment, right?
Just for now, man. Yeah, but bloody hell, yeah, man. But thanks for that. It was, you're completely right. I can't remember a fight when we see someone take so much damage. There was one fight. Was it? I can't remember the guy's name. Was it a New Zealander or American? He just kept walking towards the guy like a zombie, and he kept getting battered completely. It was about last year. I don't know. I'll get off the top of my head soon.
And Korean zombie, like he's got that name for that. He's
man.
He takes big bombs. So baby,
I couldn't believe, man. So Steve, what were you thinking about that? You surprised Tony going for more takedowns or anything like that?
I'm just on podcast.
No,
He
was my pick. He was my. I picked Gaethje. I picked Gaethje as a problem for Khabib in the past, like with a few of the guys. I actually won some money off of betting on Gaethje as well with Jonathan,
nice.
Jonathan Haggerty. Yeah, I had a bet with him. He said Tony. I said Gaethje, so I won a couple of quid off the champ, so that was good. I think Gaethje's a problem for anyone in that division. He is super dangerous everywhere, and that's what a lot of people don't know about his wrestling, how good his actual wrestling is, and defensively as well. I really believe that he's going to give Khabib his hardest fight of his career. I really do. I think his striking is disgusting, like the way he moves and the way he hits. I mean, even if you look at the in the corner of the fight, his coaches were telling him to take the percentage of his punching down there, saying, calm down. Like, he just goes all out, doesn't he? When he hits you, he's trying to maim you straight away. Do you know what I mean? And but Tony Ferguson's a stud, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? He is a stud, man. The then punches, you could hear them clattering off of him. I think it could have been stopped a little bit earlier, just through the damage, if I'm honest with you. But I mean, I'm not the ref, and he's dancing around, and he's at the hospital at the moment, so he's obviously all right, which is good. But man, what a fight! I hope Dana White's giving them some money, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, mate. I hope so as well, man. But that's definitely up there for fight of the year. That's definitely a candidate already. Fight of the year,
massive.
Akonne, man, what were you thinking going to that? Because obviously when we had our chat before, we all put it down to Ferguson winning, didn't we?
Yeah.
And you surprised by that?
We did. I did say it was going to be super close, but yeah, I did edge it towards Ferguson because I thought it was going to be more. He was going to be, I want to say, more clever and try and get it down to the ground a little bit more and try and throw a few things. He did. I think it was a second or third or fourth. I don't know. I can't remember what round it was, but his coach did say, try the Imanari roll, and he tried it, but it was a little bit too late when he done it. I feel like if you did, like, say, from round one, go into a grappling exchange, even though that's not Tony Ferguson's style, he wants to come at you, he wants to dance around, he wants to inflict a lot of damage. It just wasn't his night. And what was in the back of my head, everyone's covered all the points I wanted to say anyway, but what was in the back of my head was, did we have a 60% or 70% Ferguson because he made that weight cut?
Yeah,
2 weeks ago.
I thought of that as well.
I was thinking the same thing. He just looked a bit, to be honest, he looked a bit soft than usual. He's normally like more bonier and more sharp. I think a lot of the fights. Yeah, I thought a lot of the fighters looked a bit soft, but that's because of obviously maybe the COVID and being locked up and not having everything as normal as they used to having it. So it could have affected a lot of the fighters' conditions. But I definitely feel like Ferguson, he put on a great performance with his chin and his heart, and I'm still a big fan of Ferguson. And man, Gaethje's a force to reckon with. He's probably going to go in as favourite against Khabib now.
You reckon? That's a big statement. You reckon?
I reckon he's probably going favourite as Khabib.
After that performance, you can't even blame it though, can you? I mean, he looks.
Yeah.
Agreed.
He looks really good. It looks good. It's just, can he stop Khabib from doing what Khabib does?
The big
Well, I'll tell you
question.
what. I'll tell you what. We'll add to that then, right? Then that was one of the fan questions. That was what someone asked us for later on. And feel free if any of you to come out and just answer this. Is can he handle? Can he stop Khabib doing what Khabib does?
Who knows?
This is what
Let
we're all
them
going to
fight.
pay to see. We can't
Yeah,
wait.
let them fight. Let them fight.
I would really think, yeah, I agree. Being here in the United States, the guys that are what they call D1, Division 1 collegiate wrestlers, as he was a very good Division 1 collegiate wrestler, and his style in wrestling was countering and defensive wrestling. And so he's done this all of his life. And so it's going to be quite difficult for Khabib to take him down, I think. And I think that that's going to present a problem for Khabib. And I think he's either going to stop Khabib completely, or he's just going to be able to scramble. You guys remember how well Al Iaquinta, who was also a collegiate American wrestler, did. And the only difference is that Iaquinta took it on short notice, didn't quite have the striking attack that Gaethje has, and actually wasn't quite as decorated a collegiate wrestler as Gaethje. And he kind of almost held Khabib to a standstill, not allowing him to take him down and keep him down. So, yeah, I'm thinking, and I don't know that Khabib has as good a chin as Tony Ferguson. I don't think anyone has as good a chin as Tony Ferguson, right? So, yeah, so Khabib could be in big trouble if those takedowns are stopped, and Gaethje just shucks him off and starts laying the hands on him.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be great, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everyone's going to look forward to that.
I add to that when he fought Michael Johnson, where Michael Johnson he came with that I don't know if I can swear, but fuck you, Khabib, I'm coming for you, and he caught him, and Khabib looked like he was in danger until he controlled the situation, doing as what Khabib does. But can he do that against Gaethje, who's a lot more polished and sharp with his technique and striking technique and the grappling, the anti-grappling? It's going to be a nice fight, man. And I'm on the side of Gaethje. I'll put a bet on Gaethje.
Me too. Gaethje's got a great chin. A lot of people throw some powerful punches, these big, wild, winging punches, but I don't think Gaethje's going to be that worried about it. Gaethje's chin proven, because Tony did hit him hard several times, not as many as he hit Tony, but Gaethje's shown his chin is really, he's shown his chin is really great, and Khabib's in trouble. I think he better be 100% on his game.
100%, yeah. No missing weight.
Nope.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but that's it, mate. No missing weight, and let's get it all there. But Gaethje Khabib, that would be an interesting one. But
will be an interesting one.
It all comes down to if he takes him down, how quickly does he get up? Then after that, it just writes itself. I'd say after that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Fair enough, man. Well, as much as I love Tony Ferguson, and I've watched, he's obviously on a massive streak, and Gaethje came in and did this on short notice. Like, did he turn up, do you reckon, properly? Do you reckon mentally he was ready to go? Or do you reckon he'd spent too much time training for someone who's going to keep taking him down all the time?
Yeah, I thought of that. Sorry, I'll let you guys go first, but I thought of that. Go ahead, guys.
I think, didn't he have something stupid like a 16-week camp? Like, he was training, from what his Instagram and that, he's been training for a long time. But obviously he's probably training for Khabib a lot of the time, like obviously on the ground and stuff. But that's a long camp, It's a really long camp, a grueling one, and then to have it changed, and then all of a sudden you're thrown in with a nasty striker like that. That could have played a part, I reckon. The length of the camp I thought was a little bit too long. I know a lot of fighters don't come out of camp really, but I thought 15 weeks, a little bit long.
Yeah, that makes sense. He seemed not as fit, and he seemed like he looked kind of weak and a little bit skinny. If you guys notice, I think something may have gone on. This is a hard weight for him, and he's getting older at 36, 37 years old. Yeah, he's competing here lower than the weight he wrestled at in college, and that's quite different than most American wrestlers. Most American wrestlers, especially if they're 30 years old or more, are competing at a higher weight. Usually by quite a bit, as you guys would call, at least let's say 3 or 4 kilos higher than the collegiate weight, and he's lower by 2 or 3 kilos.
Do we know how much he walks around at?
No,
I think he walks around quite heavy.
Yeah, I think so too. There's a big weight cut.
180 or something.
Yeah,
180.
I would think so. I believe so.
So it all boils down to him doing 2 weight cuts. He done it like, what is it, 2 weeks before that other weight cut?
Yeah, 3 weeks, I think. Yeah.
3 weeks. Yeah. I think it's still very stupid. It takes a lot of toll on his body, and
he didn't know though. He didn't know
he
the
didn't
May
know he was
9th
going to
date.
fight again. Yeah,
that was right.
True.
So I started bringing that up on our show right away. And I do think that was an issue. I think had he known, I don't think he would have done that. That was, because then he probably ballooned. I think there was a 5 or 6 day gap between when he did that and when this fight was announced. So he probably went back up, quite a bit.
Yeah, quick
or close to it if possible. Yeah.
Well, even if you did this massive weight cut when always I'm very tired and exhausted, they usually say your chin, you can't take it as much. But if he's taking that when he's cutting weight a lot and stuff like that, then he must. That's what made me think. He must have been. I said he must have obviously been ready, but he's just generally a hard guy anyway. The only person I've seen really rocking was his name Lanata? What's his name?
Lando Venata.
Yeah, that's the last. So
well, Pettis rocked him as well.
True. Yeah.
Pettis rocked him.
But from people like yourselves who are fighters or trainers and stuff like that, man. Did Ferguson have his hands too low all the time? Because he just kept getting caught too easily in my eyes. What was he doing wrong?
That's Ferguson for you, isn't it?
Yeah, I think he scares people when he fights them. He scares people, but sometimes you get into them exchanges with him, and he just throws nasty stuff, and he frightens a lot of from fighters, from what I can see. But Gagey just he weren't scared, and he kept to the game plan. I don't even know. He just I thought he was going to get higher and higher and start doing nastier things as the rounds went on. But he seemed to. His corner team got a lot of flack and a lot of grief on Instagram and stuff like that. I've been seeing for not trying to tell him to change his game up and stuff like that. He went for the Imanari role. But apart from that, I mean, I don't think he should have pushed him up against the cage or done something. But after when it got to the 3rd round and he was just getting pieced apart. Well, actually, he dropped Gagey in the 2nd round, didn't he? At the end,
beautiful uppercut.
Oh, yes. So I don't know.
Beautiful uppercut.
His coaches were getting a lot of slack for it, but I mean, it was a nasty uppercut as well. So maybe going into that 3rd round, he thought he could have put him away, but then after the 3rd round, going into the 4th round, maybe the coaches should have stepped in and told him to maybe turn it into a bit more of a grappling fight. I don't know.
The only thing is he's going up against a more decorated
grappling
wrestler. Well, and if we differentiate from the wrestling to the grappling, the wrestling, right? The grappling.
I had this argument with a few of my a few guys that I was talking to, and I said that Gagey's more decorated, is he not? He's more of a decorated wrestler and stuff than Ferguson. Thank you. So as long as I've got that on the screen, so I can just show it to the guys, because I was having a big old tear up with them about it. I was saying, I'm telling you, Gagey is much more higher level than Ferguson, but they were telling me he wasn't, so it's good.
Right, no, you're right, and that's in the wrestling. And however, in the grappling and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Ferguson is much higher level, and but to get someone there is the problem, and a lot of that's the one thing I think a lot of the American wrestlers realize who's a better wrestler, and not only that, but it's unfortunate for Tony that Gaethje's specialty in wrestling, where he was a higher level, more decorated wrestler, is defensive wrestling. So it would have been quite difficult. I don't think Tony had any confidence he was going to get Justin Gaethje on the ground or even be able to hold him and grind him against the fence. He should have tried, though. In retrospect, looking at it, he should have tried. But I think a lot of guys just, know that, and they say, there's no way I'm going to move this guy. Because, I'm sure both of you guys or probably have maybe trained a little bit with really good American wrestlers. I have. It's bad. They're just, and I've learned a lot from them. I'm an old guy, so all I'm going to do with it is use it in jiu-jitsu class with my friends. But it's amazing, the ability to not have someone move you, the weight, the lowering the weight in the center of gravity. It's insane. They literally feel like they weigh twice what they weigh, when they have that skill. Crazy.
So who do you think's up? Obviously up next for Gaethje, it's the obvious one is Khabib, and that probably will happen. But do you think there's any way that could be alternative and it's given to McGregor or something? Because personally, I think McGregor should fight Tony now. Yeah. And Gaethje fights what's his name, Khabib, and then we have the winner of that. But then I also like the sound of Conor fighting Masvidal for the BMF title. So you know what I mean. What do you think?
I would think, I'd be curious to see what your guests say. If you guys were Gaethje, would you take any fight before Khabib? I wouldn't think so.
No. I'd just be focused on Khabib now. I'd be like, get him ready. I'm prepared to shave the eagle. Come, let's go. That's what I'd be.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's
Definitely
what I think.
that's the one.
There's
He
no
said
other
it in the
fight for him
post-fight. He said it in the post-fight, didn't he? He said there's
That's
no other fight he wants apart from a Khabib.
Yeah.
You know, so, but money talks, you know. Money talks.
True.
So,
Khabib says he's going to be ready in about 3 months, though. So I think that would be a good enough time for Gaethje. If he was saying different,
time,
if he was saying 6 months or a year, Gaethje would be kind of confronted with what he wants to do. But no, I think, Chris, that's the next fight, and I think it's a mandatory fight for Khabib, being that Gaethje now is the interim title. And so, but there's so many other great fights there.
Where do you reckon they'll do it? Do you reckon they'll Vegas it, or do you reckon he'll get taken to Russia? What do you think?
I don't think Gaethje's camp is going to agree to go to Russia for that fight.
Rocky Balboa style.
No.
It wouldn't make any sense, man.
No, I think Las Vegas.
For his side anyway.
Yeah, I think Las Vegas, or they may even try to get it in the larger venue in New York, in Madison Square Garden, the legendary, one of the most legendary combat sports venue in the United States, Madison Square Garden. So I think they're going to look for that or for Las Vegas. But either one, I plan to be there covering it. I'm super excited.
Sick.
Nice,
it's all right for some.
Yeah.
Either way, I'm gonna be there.
Yeah.
I'll look out for them tickets.
Yeah. That's what I mean. If I lived in the States as well, man, I could get all these press passes, all these UFC events every week. But I can't complain, though, Colin. You got me one for the UK event, so shame it got cancelled. Obviously, I was gutted, mate, when it got cancelled.
I know you were about ready to go representing the MMA Power Hour. Well, you're our go-to guy over there. They got to build something around Leon Edwards, I would think. So
that's it. Well, that's it. Well, that's it, man. We need to get Leon's big name up. Obviously, Akonne here trains with Leon as well, Team Renegades,
cool.
Fabian and all them lot. So,
awesome.
Yeah, man, there's definitely big things coming out of there. And shame, obviously, you had a fight cancelled, Akonne, coming up at Bellator, and then obviously Fabian was supposed to fight Van Steenis, and it was going to be such a hectic card. And I'm sorry I'm going backwards a bit, but obviously Steve as well. I thought let Steve know both his kids, two of his kids are both MMA fighters. His daughter's a Cage Warriors amateur academy champion as well.
Nice,
man.
Cool. Family full of fighters.
Yeah, I know, I don't look that old, do I? Go on, say it, boys.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah. My daughter's 19, and so she's the Cage Warriors academy champ, 52 kilogram champ.
Awesome.
Awesome. But she done a lot of wrestling. She went out to Fairtex in Thailand, and they had American wrestlers out there, and she was living there for a year training with them. So she's doing Muay Thai since she was 8. And my son's had 2 amateur MMA fights now, and he's 2-0 in amateur. So, but he's had over 660 Muay Thai fights. So, but I want to send him to America. I want to get him wrestling.
Nice.
So absolutely.
Yeah.
So
we know a couple of people. Maybe send him over to Alpha Male or American Top Team, something like that.
Absolutely. Or AKA American Kickboxing Academy, where Khabib is.
Looking at it.
You guys remember how one of I think the man who was most credited with creating Fairtex was a Thai boxer who got killed about 20 years ago. I used to watch him compete. His name was Alex F15 Gong, and he was about 35 years old, and in the midst of his Muay Thai career, and he was training in his gym, and someone said someone's just sideswiped your car, hit his car, and so he ran out there, and there was a bit of traffic, so he was able to catch up with the guy. And he said, something like, "What? Look what you done. What's? Why are you leaving? Let's get this set up." And the guy shot him and killed him.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and turns out the guy was a criminal on the run and was running from the police. Yeah. And the guy is disgusting. The criminal tried to make it seem like he was a reasonable guy, and he said he tried to say, "Listen, I'm quite busy right now. You need to move on." And then he said, when he wouldn't move on, I had to shoot and kill him. And I think, that's just insane. That's something a lot of criminals try to do. Make it seem like they were a gentleman about it. If he would have, I don't think so. Where was that? Yeah, that was in Northern California, where Alex Gong was based. Yeah.
Wow.
Man, stop that, man. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Over here, you get out and have a go at someone in the UK. You know they haven't got. Well, most of the time they haven't got a weapon, but a gun.
Right,
but over
right.
in the States, obviously, different story, man.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Sadly.
man,
Well, you don't live in Peckham. That's where I live.
I used to live in Thornton Heath, mate. I moved out
Yeah,
there.
man.
Anyway.
There you go.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Then let's move on to obviously Tony Gage. He's definitely going to be a potential for fight of the year. If not, they might as well just name it. But we'll see what happens. Maybe the Khabib fight will be just as crazy. So let me go on to the next fight: Cejudo versus Cruz. As much as I'm known, I'm not a huge fan of Cejudo's. Cejudo. He goes about things, he dresses house out of Fantasia and has snakes in his bag and all sorts of things. He's a weird bloke, mate. And but at the end of the day, mate, he got it done, didn't he? To be fair to him, he got it done, and I agree with the stoppage completely. And what made me laugh a bit today, did anyone see the post that the referee put out today on his Instagram?
Killed him off. The
What did
referee.
he say?
It's a picture of Dominic Cruz like lying a bit like on the floor, like, obviously just like knocked out and phased a bit, and it says something about when you wake up after lockdown after being on beers and drugs or something like that.
And I was like, because he said the referee smelled cigarettes and alcohol.
Beer, yes,
Beer,
he did.
Oh god, it was funny. But
come to you. What do you think about that one then? Like, obviously we usually see Cruz come back, and after 4 years, like it's been nothing. But what was different in that fight?
I wanted Cruz to win. I wanted that Cinderella story to happen, but he got beat fair and square. And going to the stoppage, man, the amount of times we've had referees, especially the American referees or the ones that I work with at Bellator, they're very specific about what they're looking for, and they go bang on and bang on and bang on about if you don't defend yourself unintelligently, if you defend yourself unintelligently, we're gonna step in. So seeing him lying there pretty much nearly hot, like face down, taking shots. Okay, yeah, they're clumping off like the top of his shoulders or the top of his head. Still, he wasn't intelligently defending himself. So to me, nice stoppage. And there were like a good 5 or 6 shots coming in there, rapid fire from Little Man.
Do you reckon it was that follow-up right hand though, man, was just clean, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was clean. He was sharp and ready, and man, the better man that night.
So do you agree then that was a good stoppage, and it is what it is?
It is what it is, man. It was a good stoppage. Yeah, he could have recovered. He could have let it go on, because I've seen referees do that before. I think it was what's his name? English guy. I should remember his name. Comes down to my gym as well. English referee, Mark Goddard. My God, he's let many of fights go way longer than they should, when the guys are just like boom, bounce, recovered from hit, smacking their head on the floor, and then regain consciousness, and then end up either knocking the other guy out or going on for a long 5-round fight. So yeah, maybe he could have let it go, but the position he was in, like, just not fetal, but face down, couldn't even see his eyes. Yeah, it's over. I agree with the stoppage.
Fair enough, man. And obviously we'll talk a bit more about Cejudo, obviously retiring after that in a minute. But I just want to hear your thoughts on the fight. So, Steve, what were you thinking, before and after watching that fight?
Oh,
you're back, Steve. Have we got you?
Yeah.
That's right, mate. What did you think before? What did you think before and after then that Cejudo and Cruz fight?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, me and my son were arguing about it. My son reckons it was a bad stoppage, but he likes Dominic Cruz, so he's always going to say that. But I think it was correct. I think it was correct. My heart was telling me at first it was a bad stoppage, but I watched it back and it was the right stoppage.
We've seen a lot worse, man. Seen a lot worse.
Yeah.
I've seen people recover like, crazy things happen. Czech Congo, Pat Barry, some naughty things. But no, it was the right thing. It was, I believe anyway. I think it was the right stoppage. It just broke me heart though. Like you said, I wanted the Cinderella one as well. I wanted him to win, come back, and then win the title. But Cejudo's a beast, man. The thing is with him, he was getting better and better every fight, just demolishing everyone. He's just a monster.
Yeah, man. Dylan Shaw as well. Yeah, I'll tell you what, though, you wouldn't want to mess with that little one, would you? But yeah, Colin, thank you, man. Colin, man.
I'll take his head off.
You're about 3 times the size of him.
I know. Yeah. Would it be fair?
God, he's going to come out of retirement and fight Akonne now. Colin, mate, what were you thinking before and after that, mate?
Before, I thought that Cruz could do it. As your other guest, I really wanted Cruz to win. I thought he could do it. I wasn't 100% confident, so I wasn't really shouting out strongly Cruz, but I did pick him officially, and I thought he was doing good. He was the fact that he dipped in there like that wasn't good, but he's doing a lot of bobbing and weaving and dipping and stuff like that. I thought the fight could have gone a few seconds longer. I would have liked to have seen it. It probably would not have mattered, but he was starting to climb the fence. It looked like a little bit, and like he had said, and he's a successful, really respected analyst, as you guys know, for the UFC as well as a fighter. And I think he said it's like if he had either been knocked down continuously as he was already, kind of in that position, or if he had been, starting to, just get completely hammered, then, that's one thing. But he was getting hit. Cejudo was trying to control his posture, and he was starting to climb up to the right on the fence. And he just said, that's not the time that you stop it. So I know most people disagree with me, but I feel like it should have gone a few seconds longer, because if he would have, it looks to me like he may have been about ready to stand up to regain his footing. And, so I was a little bit disappointed with that. Probably wouldn't have mattered, but very disappointing. I thought it was also quite bizarre that at 33 years old, Henry Cejudo retires. But, we have a history of a lot of fighters here in the United States retiring, coming back, retiring again, coming back again, retiring again, coming back again, as probably you guys do in England. I don't know if it's as much as here, but so I just feel that if you were 36 or 37 or 38, I could believe it more. But at 33, very hard to believe. I think he may want to see them crown one of these other guys with the interim title, maybe Peter Yan from Russia, right? Aljamain Sterling, maybe Marlon Moraes in there, Jose Aldo in there, Cody Stamen, who we've had on our show, a couple more guys, and then maybe come back and have a big money fight comeback while he takes a year off to heal his body or something like that, because he did just come off of surgery, so.
He won't be retiring. That's not the last of seeing as Cejudo, man. That is not
I would agree.
Him. There's going to be a year off. I think they should do a Grand Prix style like Bellator do, to be honest with you, for that division.
Yeah.
Like that would never happen. It'd be an interim belt and then blah, blah, blah for a long time. So, But, mate, what do you all think about this, like, calling it at a time now then to retire, like we just heard from Colin? Like, what do you guys think? Obviously, he's retired now.
He was speaking about money, though, wasn't he, afterwards? Like, he was dropping it in at the press conference. He was like, money talks, money talks. So, it's obviously... If he properly retired, he would have just said, right, that's it, I'm never coming back, and that's the end of it. But he said money talks. So, I think, I think he'll definitely come back and have another fight at some point, as long as the money's right.
I agree too. I feel like it's a very smart way of him to say, look, I want to take some time off. I still want to build the hype around me, because when he comes back, people are going to be like, oh my God, he's coming out of retirement. Yeah. He's got to fight the champ now. Like, there can be about, I don't know, a whole year, maybe even 2 years of a shakeabout in that division now. And he can stay on the sidelines, retired, not getting into no crazy fights, not having to do mandatory fights, none of that. It's a smart move if that's what he's thinking.
Yeah, man. I know what you mean, but I can sort of see obviously where he's coming from if he is legitimately, because who's really left to fight him as much? Well, I guess there is, like Peter Yan and Sterling.
Peter Yan
wants to fight Peter Yan. I don't think he wants to fight Peter Yan, but again, he has done it all. He's won a lot of titles. He's defended them, both of them, against Dillashaw as well. And mate, it's just nuts. Like, fair play to him retiring. He's got loads of money. Like, I understood. If Conor McGregor turned around and said, "I'm retiring," I get it. Yeah, he's got enough money. He's got enough fame.
100 million one year. Yeah, you're good.
But Cejudo's not going to start getting signed up by whiskey companies and stuff, is he?
No. And he said he wanted to go after Alexander Volkanovski anyway, which I think would not be a good decision. But he did mention that, which would really cement his legacy if he were to win that, which I don't think he will. Alex would love that fight, though, I know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Be a great fight.
Cejudo coming out, some like little, massive, stocky little bloke, like put all this.
Oh yeah. And it's funny because he calls Volkanovski an oversized midget. Whereas Volkanovski is like 3 inches taller than him.
Yeah.
I didn't realise he was that close in height to him, to be fair. That's fair enough, man.
Mm.
But no, he's obviously gone now. That's actually interesting. I didn't think of it like that on two reasons, what you said. Like, one with he could just be trying to get more money out of it, like saying, look, I'm going to retire, pay me more and I'll stay. And also that year out, and that might even work well for the UFC, mate, as well. But is he popular enough? Is he popular enough, though, to go out for a year and come back and people like GSP is a different matter. BJ Penn was a bad idea, but a different matter. Do you know what I mean? And you could bring Brock Lesnar in next week and everyone will tune in.
Everyone will be tuning in. But I think after this fight, for him winning this fight, he is much of a draw now. As maybe not as big as Brock Lesnar, but definitely he's got some pulling power.
Now that's the fight to make, isn't it? Cejudo Lesnar. Yes.
There you go. Yeah.
I wonder how long that would last.
Yeah.
It'd be like the Ngannou fight.
Yeah, pretty close.
I'll tell you what, we'll go on to that fight, and obviously the Ngannou fight. By the way, just a heads up, I ain't going to go through every single fight and keep you all night, by the way. It's just the way it's going.
Cool.
Obviously, I want to go on to the Ngannou fight because, again, he does it again. That's 4 fights. I don't think he's added up a minute or so yet. And don't get wrong, he was sloppy and swingy and whatever. Yeah, he was swinging wildly and all sorts, chin in the air. But again, he did it. And he's done Cain Velasquez, to Santos. It's just, what's next for this guy? I thought that I heard a little bit of fear in Daniel Cormier on the commentary box.
Yeah.
So
did you see his face? Daniel Cormier was like, his eyes nearly left his score.
Yeah.
Steve, I'll come to you first, mate. Like, again, Ngannou does what he does best, mate. What's next, and what do you think of that fight?
Mate, that is one scary, scary man. You know, like if you caught him in bed with your missus, you'd tuck him in, wouldn't you? You know what I mean?
Fuck off.
Fuck
off.
I'm
taking his head home, putting it on my mantelpiece.
There you go.
He's a scary dude. He's just one of them guys, like, you know, he just literally comes. I mean, the technique is obviously looks a little bit sloppy in that, but he just needs one, doesn't he? Just one to touch you on the chin. And Rosenstrike's a really good striker as well. And he just, I don't know, that one shot just killed him, deaded him. You know, what do you say about him?
Could have Ngannou got easily caught though, as he was tearing in then. Could that have been another?
Yeah, I mean, he could have, but
heavyweights.
Mate, Daniel Cormier knows that that's a scary fight for him as well. I mean, it could go very similar to what Stipe did to him, but I don't think Stipe recovered still to this day from the shots he took from Ngannou. And Ngannou is a serious threat, I think, to the heavyweight division.
Yeah, mate.
I'd like to see him fight. I'd like to see him. I mean, obviously he's going to fight for the title next, but I'd like to see him fight Brock, because I know Brock Lesnar don't. He's a good wrestler, and but he don't like getting smacked. If you've seen Brock, like some of the fights with Shane Carwin and stuff like that, so it'd be interesting. He'll be shooting for his life straight away, but it'd be an interesting 2 massive guys like that. But yeah, he's going to cause whoever wins out as DC and Stipe some problems, I think.
Nice, man. Yeah, I think you're right. I know looks like DC Stipe is what Dana White's saying about next, and you know, if DC loses that, he'll retire. If he wins, he might retire. So it'd be interesting to see what happens after that, man. But Colin, mate, what were you thinking before and after that fight? Do you think Ngannou was going to destroy him, or do you reckon it was going to be another Stipe sort of fight against such a tough striker?
I definitely was wrong on this. I called out Rosenstruck to win this fight from the beginning. I was watching this fight with a friend of mine who was a really good striker. He had competed years ago, not a known name, but also a teacher, black belt in many styles, and a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
He froze this time.
It's his turn. Luckily, you weren't talking at your time, though, Steve. That was different.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're back.
Yeah, can you hear?
Okay, good. So basically, what my friend pointed out to me was that Rosenstruck was going backward, which you never want to do, even when someone's coming at you like that. Francis throwing these wild punches, and Rosenstruck going backward. And then it seems like in the last minute, he was trying to push Ngannou back. He wasn't even protecting himself. And my friend said, if someone's charging you, the thing is you need to lean in and protect your head. And Rosenstruck didn't do that. I think it's because people don't usually charge. at Rosenstruik because of what a big puncher he is. But I think he could have been safe from that. I think that fight. I still think Rosenstruik's the more polished striker, but I just think he just I don't know. I think maybe the strategy probably was planned on the part of Ngannou being the more experienced cage fighter, more experienced UFC fighter. And but Ngannou is a beast. I still think Rosenstruik is going to be a force, and I still think he's going to look at that and not make that mistake again. But yeah, Ngannou is, I think, next up. There's two men that are very tough in that division, Walt Harris, and even more so Curtis Blades, right? Curtis Blades, I think, is the heir apparent to the title with the wrestling he has. He's big, he's tall, he's young, he's fast, really good guy, and I think that
nasty elbows.
Yeah, and they fought twice. I think this would be a third match with Curtis Blades and Ngannou, and so I think if Stipe or DC are not ready, then it should be Ngannou Blades, and but no, powerful guy, and I was wrong on that. Really, I was high on the Rosenstruik train, and I think he'll be back. But good respect to Ngannou, a very good performance.
He's taking out the Dutchman, isn't he? Ngannou. And you say about these decorated strikers, look at Alistair Overeem, his kickboxing records and everything like that. And well, I think they're looking for Overeem's head still. It was dead from that uppercut.
Yes. Yes.
Absolutely. But Akonne, man, you called it, the other day. You called it, and Ngannou goes in there, just rips his head off straight away.
That's what I said, man. I said the decapitation of his head. That's all I said.
Exactly what you said.
Yeah. Well, Rosenstruik is a big guy. However you say his last name, he's a big guy, and then standing next to Ngannou, you just seen even a bigger size difference. So I know obviously it's not all about size. I've fought bigger men myself before, but it's just when you possess that much power, it just doesn't matter even if he blocked it, even if he had one hand here and he blocked that shot, I think he still would have shut his lights out. You just got to do it exactly like what my man said from America. You can't be running back in a straight line. You got to take one step back, go to the side. You got to angle off. You got to umbrella away. And being such a decorated striker, that's one of the biggest mistakes he made. And he'll go back and he'll look at that and recover and come back stronger from this, of course.
I think so.
That's it. Yeah, mate, I completely agree as well, man. And so who's next? Who's next up for both of them? Then we're saying. So we've got Stipe or DC, but who are we looking at then for Rosenstruik? Then that's the other thing.
Rosenstruik, could fight someone like JDS. If he's still about JDS, that'd be a nice fight. JDS, one of them ones. Or he could even fight Curtis Blades.
Mm-hmm.
They fought
maybe Vadumi just beat obviously Alexei Olenek.
Alexei won.
Sorry.
The victory.
No, sorry. That's what I mean, they're both coming off losses. That's what I meant to say, man. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Right. I think the setup. Who I think might be in the picture is the Frenchman Cyril Gane. He's a very, very tough guy. I think he was a one-time training partner of Ngannou, or he may still be. I forget.
I think that's still training partners. He's a scary dude as well.
Although you don't think probably someone wouldn't want to face him off a loss. Although Rosenstruik seems to be willing to fight anyone, but I think he's in the picture there. Gane, very tough guy, and then possibly the Russian that just beat Greg Hardy, Volkov, that tall, thin Russian. I think might still be in the picture. So there are some good fights to make.
I like him. He's a good guy, man.
Good
complete skills.
Absolutely.
For a big dude.
There were some great fights for the big guys there. The Greg Hardy fight, we're not going to go into obviously too much, but there was a bit of a not the most interesting fight, but I think that De Castro threw about 4 punches the whole fight, which didn't really help, man. But again, it's a stacked division. There's lots coming through, and it's going to be interesting. I'll come on. I can't talk about all the fights. I'd love to. There's so many good ones, man. But I'll come on to the last fight we'll talk about, and then you can add anything afterwards if you want. But Pettis and Cerrone, to me, was obviously not co-main event for me, but it was one of the main. It should have been on the main card for me. But what a fight to headline the prelims. And I'm not going to say my thoughts yet. I'm going to come to you, Akonne, first, man. What do you think about that fight? How do you think it played out, and do you think the right decision was made at the end?
I'm going to make this. This was playing on my mind the whole time when I was watching the fight. I was like, yo, Pettis Pettis looks like he's been eating too many Jaffa cakes, man. I don't know why that just, I was watching the fight, but that just kept distracting me. I was thinking, fuck, I've never seen Pettis so soft ever in a while.
Yeah.
So, but he was performing well. He had nice loose shots, nice loose body kicks to the ribs, and what we said on pre-249, we said what Donald Cerrone is going to turn up, and I think especially after the first round, Donald Cerrone showed, man, Dad Cerrone was back, and it created an amazing fight, man. It created such a close stand-up war all the way up until like third round when each of them got head kicks and stuff. It's just, you could have went either way. You could have given Donald Cerrone that fight, and it
was super close.
Yeah, and probably down to when Donald Cerrone went for takedowns and stuff. I thought it was going to edge his way, but you never can leave things in the hands of the judges, man. It's just, it was a cracking fight.
They can't blame they couldn't concentrate because it was too loud in there. So, you know what I mean? They've got no excuse.
No.
It's actually quite interesting when the commentator was saying, I think the fighters can hear us, like, because
that was interesting.
So John Anik took his headset off, and so you could hear everything Rogan and what's his name, DC was saying, like 2 tables down and stuff, and it was like, mate, the fighters must be able to hear exactly what you're saying. But could you imagine that in the Gagey fight? God, he keeps hitting with that left hand. Tony's like, yeah, fucking no. Yeah, man. But
thank you for making advice.
That's it, man. Steve, mate, what did you think about the Pettis Cerrone fight? Do you think it turned out the great fight we thought it would?
It was one of them fights where you're watching it, and like every time there was like the head kicks getting thrown and stuff, like it was just a great fight, a good one for the fans. But yeah, Cerrone turned up in that one. That was the thing as well. I thought, is he going to get a little bit shell shocked again? But they're friends as well, which is great. I think when the friends are fighting in UFC fights, like Orlovsky and Travis Brown, when they thought they were good mates as well, like they put on some, proper tear-ups. I mean, I think it was a right decision, though. Pettis, yeah, I think so. I thought it was a great fight. I think from the first fight when they Cerrone obviously knew he had his hand down, he knew that the body kicks were going to come. But yeah, I mean, it was a great fight, really good one. I think they'll do it again at some point.
Yeah. I hope so, mate. I hope so. But 2 legends of the sport, both been here for a long time since the WEC days, growing up all through that. And those are the days of WEC. It's so great. It's all within one now. But Colin, mate, what did you think? So did Pettis win? Did Cerrone win?
Yeah, Pettis won. I definitely feel he did. But I think Cerrone got the respect back that he had lost from some fans from that Conor McGregor fight. That was a debacle. It's quite strange to me that Conor's... Cowboy has made this statement that in that fight with Conor, he didn't want to be there, and it's very odd. I mean, I understand maybe one of your 2 other guests can give their thoughts on what that could have meant. I'm sure the people that wagered on Cowboy are not too happy to hear that he didn't want to be there. I was there in person covering that fight, and he seemed like he was all fired up and excited and everything, and then just got completely smoked. But it is what it is. Nevertheless, this was a battle of 2 guys that have known each other for years, a battle of 2 guys that more than likely will never be in contention again, and a battle of 2 guys that should be fighting at lightweight, and they're fighting at welterweight. That's why I think Pettis looked a little bit fleshy, as they say over here, right? I think that Cowboy doesn't really take the punches of a welterweight very well. And I think that's a problem with him. Someone that I was watching the fight with said they felt that Pettis may have been like pulling back toward the end. And I wonder what your guests feel here also, because you wouldn't think a fighter's going to let a fighter survive or not try to finish him if he could. Or is that something perhaps that 2 veterans might do for each other? I'd be curious to hear what you guys think. But I think Pettis was in control there, but Pettis also is not what he used to be either. And I think that they both preserved their career by hanging in there and both doing so well. My thought was I just hope that Pettis wasn't going to completely wipe out Cowboy, because then Cowboy's career would have been over for sure. But I think Cowboy fought tough, but I think Pettis won that fight. It's just, interesting. The questions I mentioned, I'm curious about. See what you guys think.
Yeah, man, it's tough though. 8 wins and 20 fights for Cerrone, I think it is now. I think he's 8-12.
Wow.
But then you look who he's fought. You know, you can't remember that sort of things as well. But Colin was just saying, what do you two reckon? Do you reckon someone would pull back at the end of a fight, you know, because he's your friend, or it's because you're veterans, you know, you don't want to hurt him, you just want to get to the end and see what happens?
Me personally, that would never cross my mind. It just, I guess I'm yet to become a veteran, right? But interestingly enough, I fought one of my friends in my first ever Bellator fight, Sam Slater, and me and him knew each other pretty well. And going into that fight, it was just the same, if not even more than any other fights. It's just had to go in there, get the job done. I see him as a puzzle, and I wasn't pulling my shots. I'm sure he wasn't pulling his shots too. But after, we go back to, you know, straight being back to friends, and you know, I'm glad that he didn't get hurt seriously, and I think that's probably what they would have been thinking too. They've probably just been going there, doing what they love. Just like, you know, when you spar and all your training partners for years, and then sometimes you have a tear up with them because, I don't know, somebody gets you with a good shot and you're like, all right, go on, mate, go on then.
Oh, you want
Coach
to play
is probably not there. Yeah, you want to play rough? I think it's similar to that. Yes, you probably won't have the really bad intention of, I want to kill this person. Maybe if that's what people think. I don't think that at all. I'm very focused and clear in my mind of just the puzzle in front of me, and so it's up to, it's personally I don't think he pulled his shots. No.
Fair enough, man. It's interesting to know, mate.
He probably just gassed. He got a bit tired.
That's it. That must be it, man. They're not getting any younger, as they say. As I said, I'm a firm believer that Cerrone literally does 2 cans of beer literally before the walkout. You know, like next.
We were saying that before. He's he got his Budweiser in him. Has he got his Budweiser? He's ready to go.
That's it, mate. One of the only men to get a sponsor apart from Reebok in the UFC. But there you go, mate. You know, he's done all right. But I tell you, I'd love to talk about all the fights. I said we'd be here all night. But what I do want to ask, just lastly before we finish up, I just want to ask you all individually: was there any fight that stood out for you out of all the fights, even the ones we haven't spoken about? You know, was there any other fights on there that you thought, you know, really stood out?
Luke Vicente and the Price fight.
Price.
Oh, that was like playing Street Fighter.
Yeah,
absolutely. I knew that fight would go that way too. Sorry to interrupt you guys, but when I called out my show, I called that as the fight of the night on the Wednesday prior to the event on my show. Bonuses. Man, amazing. Yeah. Luke is so great. He's so mentally strong. He grinded. I remember that fight with him and Brian Barberena. And Barberena is such a gritty guy, and Luke stopped him. Luke just is able to just tough it out the last little bit. And Price, for a guy that wins one and loses one, he's the best fighter that is a 500 fighter in the UFC that I've ever seen. He almost beats everybody. He's so close, and he gives as good as he gets, and it just comes up a bit short against these better guys. I thought he might have been able to pull it off, but Luke's a beast.
Yeah,
Luke's a scary dude, man.
And then Cater against Jeremy Stevens. You guys had to love that one, I'm sure, as well.
Oh, that was nice, yeah. That was real nice. One thing to touch on with Luke, I really I kind of forgot that his coach was Henry Hoof, and I admired Luke's improvements in his striking from his whole career, man. And this fight, he looked really good. As in the first round, they both looked like they were just really trying to smack each other's head off. Really heavy shots were coming in. You could hear it because it was so quiet, like slap, slap, bang, bang, thudding and stuff, which was great to watch. But you could see they were just loading up their shots, and the shots were coming slower. You think it would go faster. The general public would think that, if I tense my arms, if I really try and give him my all, if I really try and give everything in that punch, that the shot would come quicker and more dangerous. But you could see when Luke went back to his corner, spoke to his coach, and came back out composed, loose, relaxed, and more sharp. And he was quicker from Price from there on, and just took and edged it from then. Just being nice and quick, nice and technical, sharp down the line, and just man, good performance by Luke.
Yeah. Have you guys
Bryce Mitchell as well? What do you think of that fight? And the early, I don't know if you watched that. That was the early prelims. That was on Fight Pass, mate. I don't know if you caught that, but if you haven't, try and watch that somewhere, mate. That was a grappling masterpiece. I think the only word can be used for that. Am I right, Colin?
Really, really good.
Yes, he kept trying to get him in that electric chair. Like he got his, he kept trying to get him in the twister, right? The twister.
Yeah, twister.
He kept trying to get him in the Eddie Bravo twister, and he's against a black belt, and Rosa is a black belt. The funny thing is, Rosa made a statement after his last fight, after he submitted a guy named Manny Bermudez, who was cut from the UFC, but was a very good black belt himself. Rosa made a comment that he's the best grappler, jiu-jitsu guy in the lower weights. And Mitchell came in there like he was angry at him. He came in there like he said, this guy's going to say that. I'm going to beat him every second of every round. And I was really – it looked like Rosa was surprised. Yeah, Rosa looked like he was shocked. He was like, what the hell? And you know what it was? Mitchell is a younger fighter, fresher, a better wrestler, and an equally as good jiu-jitsu guy. And with those factors, he just took it to Rosa. I'd never seen anyone take it to Rosa on the ground like that. Rosa's a really good black belt, but, man, Mitchell's scary. I called Rosa to win that fight, and I'm a believer now in Bryce Mitchell.
He nearly got the twister on a few occasions. He nearly locked it in.
He did.
At the end of a round, he locked it in, didn't he, as well? Like, that's a nasty move, mate. Is that
my back,
students?
Yeah. My back was hurting.
Yeah,
your back was hurting.
It was.
One of the things I say in class is I'm older. I'm over 40, and I say no twisters on me. So you don't even try. You know, if you're gonna try, I'll tap out before you start. So you know.
Steve, you pulled one of them off in a competition before, or taught him that?
Nah, twister. It's a difficult move to pull off. I mean, they're both really high level, and he's still going through it. I mean, it's a cheeky one as well. You get caught in a twister, it's an horrible move. You're gonna tap. You're gonna tap out straight away. It's a nasty one. But again, I agree with you. If I get caught in any of them, I'm tapping out straight.
Without a doubt. It's almost like a heel hook on the body.
It's brutal.
I remember when I saw it for the first time. I was like, I've only seen that move on like PlayStation UFC. You know what I mean? When like you pulled off twisters.
The Korean Zombie.
Yeah. The first time I was just like, I didn't realise that was real. I thought they just made it up for the game.
In the game that is Eddie Bravo's mind. That's what the game was.
Is it.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely.
See, man, when I see that twister, it looks so. It's just how he gets on. They look like they're both just lying down with their arms around each other.
It does look funny. It is. But then when he looks
on, your body's that way, your head's that way, and your legs just don't look right, mate, at all. And as I said, cause a lot of damage without. You're not going to pass out from that one. But maybe the pain. You know what I mean?
It just
twist up your back. Muscles off the spine, mate.
Twist up your back like. I remember I fought this one guy called Ricardo Franco. I fought him in amateurs. I remember I paced him in the first round, and in IMAFs you don't really get to see your opponents. You don't get to like check them out or anything like that. But I remember after fighting this guy, after I fought everybody, I just kind of like took a little Google research and stuff. A few, like maybe a year or so down the line, as everyone's turned professional and stuff like that. I remember seeing him. He's got two. Oh, my phone's falling. He's got two twisters. You just reminded me of him. He's got two twisters in a row in his career, and I thought, that's quite funny.
Oh, that's crazy.
Two twisters.
Crazy. You know what? You guys ought to try to pull a twister off on your girlfriend or wife in bed, and just if you start hurting,
we do that at gym, man.
Do you know what?
Nice.
Oh, Steve's got frozen.
He's frozen again. He's gone and twisted himself.
He's gone and twisted.
There you go.
He's gone and twisted himself.
Yeah, man. It always happens right. He's back.
There we go. He's back.
He untwisted himself. That's fine, man.
No.
Are you trying out the twister, bro?
No, I can't do it. My missus is a purple belt anyway, so she does it to me. She beats me up, mate.
Nice. I love it. That's always good.
I'm always thinking of trying to grapple my missus. You know what I mean? Put her in the heel hook and stuff. And
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. We don't cuddle. We grapple slowly. That's what we do. You know?
That's funny.
That's what we do. You know.
First one.
She does it all the time. You know, if you give them a hug and you put a hook in, like she's like, "Oh, okay, it's on."
It's on. It's on.
Okay, it's on. You know what I mean?
That's funny.
She's probably listening to this next door, like getting her gi on or something ready. All right,
That's a good wife. That's a good wife.
That's it, mate.
Quality,
No
mate. I
words
love
like the frying pan in her hand again.
I know.
That's it.
Yeah, we're gonna have to cut it there because last time we had to cut it short. Now, mate, joke. But no, mate. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it there, guys. But you know what? It's been great chatting to all three of you, man. And Colin, all the way from across the other side of the world. We're all getting ready for bed. You're getting ready for lunch. Do you know what I mean? And
Indeed.
it's been, but again, thank you very much for having all your opinions. It's been great from another journalist in the States, a fighter, obviously, and a top coach as well in the UK, man. It's been great talking to you all. So before I let you go, just give a quick, let people know where they can follow your stuff, follow your gyms or anything like that. So Akonne, I'll come to you first.
Oh, yeah, you can find me under my name, Akonne Wanliss. You can find me at Jedi Akes, which is J3DIAKES, across all social media platforms. And yeah, enjoy yourself looking at the photos. Thank you. But yeah, thank you for having me on the show once again. And it's been a pleasure to meet you guys at the bottom as well, man.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Colin, man, thank you again, as always, mate. You've done a lot for me, mate, in the past. You brought me onto Power Hour before I did anything. I was on American blooming TV before I even started this sort of stuff, mate. And let us know what's happening at Power Hour because it's got big things coming, I'm sure.
Thank you. I will. First, I want to shout out a suggestion in respect for my fellow guests here. Akonne, you should use this saying. You should say, you end up winless when you fight Akonne Wanliss. How about that?
That's
I
cool.
like that, yeah.
Throw that at you, right?
Don't charge me no money for that, though, right?
Nope, you got it.
Right,
You're
it's a
welcome to
freebie,
use
yeah?
it.
It's a freebie.
Yep.
Thanks, man.
Yes.
May the force be with you.
Thank you. You got it. You got it. So, all respect to you guys. So, yeah, thanks. MMA Power Hour. We're starting or we're continuing to climb. We've been on for about 3.5 years. We just recently went from Fight TV, which is still our distributor, to a channel called 11 Sports US, which is a big sports channel in the United States, carried on two of our largest providers, DirecTV. You guys may have heard of it. It's the satellite dish. And then a service called ATT Uverse. We're also on Verizon, Fios, and Pluto Television. Total viewership, 60 million possible viewers through those sources. Yeah, so we're starting to get some love. Michael Bisping came on our show, took his prosthetic eye out of his head.
Oh, yeah.
On
Is that
our
your show?
Yep, and just amazing. We're getting a lot of great people. We're super grateful. We're super humble. We've put in a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. We're UFC press credentialed as well as Bellator and One Championship and Invictus. So we're doing everything we can out of the love for the sport. Check us out, MMAPowerHour.com. I'm at Colin Crandall. .com. Yep, and hit us up. You guys want to check me out? We'll talk to you guys. We're always, wanting to get some more guests on there. We're, willing to work with people to arrange it. So if you guys want to hit me up and, absolutely MMAPowerHour.com coming at you guys with the best conversation, fun. It's a 2-hour chat show, as you guys would call it. And, we're part of the 11 Sports Network now, getting a lot of love here in the United States.
You are, guys. Now you know where I get my inspiration from. Some of these guys, man. This is what I mean. This is what it's all about, man. These guys doing
That's what it's all about.
And Colin, hopefully, and thank you very much, Colin, mate. Big things coming from MMA Power Hour, and mate, I'm looking forward to continuing joining that journey with you as well, mate. That'd be
absolutely.
Really good,
You're definitely a respected team member of the MMA Power Hour, Chris. So we appreciate you a lot.
That's it. All right, okay. Thank you, Colin, mate. I really appreciate everything, man. And obviously, get me the UFC pass credentials, mate. Next time, man. At least we know we can get them.
Absolutely.
And Steve, mate, always a pleasure, man. How am
I supposed to follow that? I can't follow that.
I'm just gonna put
say
your name,
on there. BJJ Steve 83. That's it.
That's it, man. That's all they want to see.
No, man. Tell us when people can check out Team Underground, and they can check out. Obviously, I've spoken to you, a lot of your fighters, mate, and it's been great watching your fighters grow through the sport as well, man. And just
we got loads of up and coming ones. It's interesting with the MMA team now. Jonathan Haggerty, obviously in ONE FC, he's going to be teaching the MMA team now when we go back. Some striking and stuff like that. So, because his dad owns the gym, Team Underground. So we got some really good coaches in. We've brought some new coaches in as well for the team. So expecting big things, and we've got some interesting news coming up, which I can't say any little spoilers yet. But don't worry, it'll be one of the first ones to know. We've got some big signings and big shows we're going on to soon. So, yeah, thanks very much, guys. As well, it was lovely to meet you too.
Oh yeah, it's a pleasure to meet you as well, bro.
Pleasure.
it.
Absolutely.
Well, again, guys, thanks a lot, man. And let's carry on with this lockdown madness, and hopefully it's all lifted soon, and we can start putting on some events again, mate. You know, and that's what it's all
That's
about.
it.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
for sure.
Wish big success to all of you gentlemen.
Thank
Yeah,
you
man.
very much,
Thank you
Will.
very much.
And to you.
Thanks very much. And you.
Thank you.
Have a great evening, lads. And again, thank you very much for me. It's always a pleasure.
Take care, guys.